Hello chaps, and welcome to my build update number 2 for the Italeri 1/48 scale Panavia Tornado IDS, kit number 834. This is my entry into the ClassicPlastic101 Tribute group build, being hosted by PapaDansModels2 and MindlessModelWorks on YouTube. This group build's open till December 31st, so plenty of time to join in if you want to do so. The links to those channels are down below. Alright, let's get on with the build. So after completing the front section of the fuselage with the cockpit in it, it was onto the rear section. So first off was to glue 3 struts in there, spacers that space the top and bottom halves apart. I used super glue to secure those posts. I then went on to putting the bombs and missiles and drop tanks onto cocktail sticks. And along with the wing assemblies and the horizontal stabilizer assemblies, I cleaned them down with isopropyl alcohol and then primed them with grey styrene res. I then temporarily assembled the wings into place and put them in the closed position and scribed around the edges with a pencil to create the demarcation of where the light grey is. You can see the pencil marks there. And then the rest is in the Desert Storm sand colour. And then airbrushed that grey in place, and then it was on to welding the tie straps in place using the OT screwdriver tip method. I then glued all that assembly permanently and clamped it, and then moved on to assembling the vertical stabilizer parts and then assembling that to the rear fuselage section. I have to say the main wings work great, but the horizontal stabilizers are really sloppy. They just fall down, so I'm going to have to look at locating them in a better manner. And then it was on to getting the air intake parts, assembling them, and that was followed by the wing leading edge parts. They were pretty fiddler putting those on, and there were gaps around them as well. After that I put the refueling probe in place. I'm having mine in the open position, so that's just one half there that's glued to the side of the fuselage. And then I went round and filled all the gaps around those parts that I'd just assembled, and I let that filler dry overnight, and then I cleaned it down with some acetone and cotton buds Q-tips to get nice smooth joints. After doing that, I tried the canopy in place to see how it fitted. Fitted great, so I cleaned it all up, masked those 2 canopy sections, and then moved on to gluing the bomb pylons on the underside of the fuselage. There they are in place, and then I did some more styrene res priming on the peripheral parts and a bit of pre-shading on the bombs. I then painted the bombs, drop tanks and missiles, followed by painting the white on the wheel struts, the air brake doors and the wheel bay doors. I then painted inside the wheel bays and the air intake, the air brake bays. Painted those white, and then we were ready to move on to addressing around the cockpit area. So I smoothed down the seams around the cockpit there, and then painted them with some primer, and then put the top coat colours on, the black HUD area, and I glued the HUD sight in place, and then painted around the top of the fuselage around that cockpit the grey colour. I then moved on to temporarily locating the air brake doors, followed by temporarily locating the wheel bay doors, and then I masked the front wheel bay, then temporarily located the rear fuselage, the rear canopy section, using a couple of bits of putty there, and that was pressed in place. It's a nice fit, I have to say. I will display that in the open position, that rear caliper. And then after that I glued a couple of pieces on the underside of the fuselage, and then put some bomb pylons onto tail sticks, and then cleaned those parts down, plus the model, with isopropyl alcohol, making it ready for putting primer on. Everything was primed with a grey Stynel Res primer. That's the underside, you just saw the top side. Everything looked good, so I moved on to pre-shading. I mixed some Tamiya XF1 black with some XF52 flat earth to make a dark brown colour, because this is going to be an old Desert Storm, desert sand pink colour. So I didn't want to go black too dark. There it is with the wings open, showing the grey inner areas. And that's all the parts ready now for paint. So that's the end of this update, guys, until update number 3, which will include painting, decaling, weathering and final assembly. I bid you adieu. Thanks for watching. Chalio, chocks away.